Hi everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com and I'm back with another channeled video. This video is a little bit different because I'm channeling the energy around a cold case. A cold case that involved two young ladies out on a hike in the middle of winter on a very warm day, okay, February 13th, 2017, and I'm talking about the Delphi murders in Delphi, Indiana, in Deer Creek County. They were walking over the bridge, the old railroad bridge. Liberty's sister, I'm talking about Liberty Germain and Abigail Williams. Liberty's sister dropped the girls off for the hike, and Liberty's father came to meet them at the pickup point, and these two girls weren't there. Now, Abigail Williams, I had to look up her birthday, and I found no information on either one of their birthdays online, with exception to the actual date of birth. So no astrology chart that I could find to do this video. Abigail was born on June 23rd, 2003, and Liberty was born on December 27th, 2002. And these two little buddies went out on a hike, which is something that kids do. Oh my God, my kids did this in Los Angeles, let alone in the suburbs, over these beautiful hiking areas. And Liberty's dad was picking them up around 5:30 that night. The girls were not there. This did not cause him alarm at first because teenagers wander off, they do things, they talk to their other friends, they go to the ice cream parlor, whatever they're doing. So he didn't call the police immediately. What they did was call their friends and the other family members to come out and see if anybody had seen the girls. When the girls didn't show up and they couldn't reach their phone and it went straight through to voicemail, that's when the police were called. And it wasn't immediately thought of as a homicide case, meaning the girls were probably just not where they were supposed to be, which is really not unusual when you have kids. Even second graders wander off. Now, the thing that I picked up around the energy, I had not thought of doing this case. People have asked me to do it. I had not thought of doing it, and I certainly wouldn't do it when I would have nothing to say. This morning, I was on my way down the street in the car, and it's very meditative for me when I'm driving because I have to focus on the road, and so when I'm focused on the road, my mind can wander. So my mind wandered, and I heard a string of words put together in a sentence. And in my head, I was like, what does this mean? And I heard exactly what it meant. I went straight to Abigail Williams. That's who popped forward for me first. Her energy was very strong. So while I was driving, and again, it's a form of meditation when you kind of zone out on the road, I asked Abigail to represent my left side and Liberty to represent my right side. Abby and Libby. So I was driving and my energy went straight to the left. It went straight to Abigail's side of my body. Sometimes I do it that way. I just get a feel. I go in the direction of the energy. And this was the direction. This is how I identified it. Now, Abigail was very precocious. She's well-spoken. She's smart as hell. She wanted to grow up and she wanted to let go of family restraints or family traditions. Now, the few weeks prior to her disappearing and eventually being found murdered the following day, where both girls were found on February 14th, 2017. They were both found about 50 feet away from the beginning of the trailhead, just on the edge of somebody's private property. So these girls, when they were found, it then became a homicide case. But prior to that, Abby, this fiery, more adult than Liberty, more wanting to be precocious and test the world and test the limits and be more grown up. Whereas Liberty was ultra responsible. I mean, yes, she was a kid. She was a year older. She was 14. Abby was 13. But Liberty was really, really responsible. She was the one that was like, I'll use the word the mother hen, but she was a caretaker of people around her, everybody. People she didn't know, people she did know, but especially Abigail. She had this really, really, I'm going to use the word karmic bond to Abigail. The two of them have been together over many lifetimes, these two little girls. And it almost broke my heart when I was driving because I saw the intention of Liberty when she went for the hike that morning, and I saw as I started to pick up the energies. When I say I saw, I began to get images in my head, and they kind of bombard my thinking. When I saw what Liberty did and the direction of what was happening, I understood just how responsible this young woman was and what a kind soul she was. Very kind, and is a kind soul. Abigail, the energy that I picked up, and again, I heard a sentence that leads me to believe that I understand who did this. I don't know them by name. That's not what I'm saying. I just have, the sentence really led me to it. Abigail, the week prior to her disappearing or going for the hike on that day, on the 13th of February, Abigail was starting to distance herself and her family. She was having words with her mother. I picked this up. Not huge bad words, not I'm gonna run away words, not fuck you words, nothing like that. She was just having words with her mother. And it was about being an adult. It was about, I want more responsibility. I'm a grown-up. I can make decisions for myself. I know how to handle this. She was rebelling a bit. She was more of the rebellious one. She was doing things that she wasn't supposed to do. She was going behind her mother's back. She was focused on different things. She was exploring things that teenagers explore, that you and I explored. Some really extreme, some moderate, and some very, very, like a little bit. She was in the moderate to extreme category. She would have been extreme had she lived, okay? Meaning she was this curious, inquisitive, highly smart girl, psychic, intuitive, prone to just shutting down and doing what she wanted to do at times. Now, the relationship between her and her mother that week before she left was getting a little bit strained because she was rebelling against her mother. This is not unusual. All us mothers have gone through this. But I heard a huge apology from Abigail to her mother. I heard, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I felt like she should have listened. I didn't hear those words, but I felt like that was going to be what I said next. I should have listened. Now, when I look into Abigail, she's a typical kid sitting on her bed, lying on her stomach. She's on her computer. She's on her phone. She's talking to people all over the place. Boys, she's boy crazy right now. Not hugely boy crazy, but slightly boy crazy. She's having fun talking to her friends. She's, you know, talking to different people. Nobody to draw red flags about, though. Nothing like that. Now, Liberty, or Libby, was always keeping an eye on Abigail. She was like Abigail's big sister. Honest to God, she was like this. Abigail didn't give the impression of needing somebody to watch, but Abigail very much had a different personality when she was out in public than she did at home. So Libby was the one that was kind of always watching out for her. There was a very karmic sense and connection to these two women, young kids, young ladies. Huge connection to them. And Liberty, or Libby, felt very, very attached to Abigail and wanted to watch out for her and wanted to do good for her. I see Abigail talking to different people. There's at least 3 different boys she's talking to online, and she's getting a kick out of all of this stuff. And she wants to stop doing stuff with certain family members. Like, she's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to do it. Kind of reminds me of like when your kids hit 13 and 14 and you're like, do you want to go to grandma's for dinner? And they're like, no. I think I want to go out and rollerblade. I think I want to do anything but go with you for dinner anywhere, is what these kids say. She wasn't quite like that, but she was getting a little bit like that. So she was just in the process of maturing. I'm talking about Abigail. Libby was already mature, and Libby was always going to be the type. Libby was going to be a good mom. Libby was going to have 3 or 4 kids. She was going to be accomplished. She was going to do everything. She was very creative with her hands. She had this twinkle in her eye. She had this big heart. She really was very, very sweet. I'm going to say something. Libby was a little bit of an elevated soul in this scenario. She was the one that came into this life with the specific purpose of being there for her friend. This was past life karma. Obviously, she's there for her family. She's there for everybody. But the connection between these two girls came from a past life. And she came through with her. I see them holding hands and coming through into this life. It's an act of love, and it's an act of forgiveness is how I wanted to say it, meaning being born, these two little girls meeting each other. And it was quite unique how they met is what I was hearing. So I'm not sure how they met, but it was quite unique, the two of them together. So Libby was very much, I'm almost wondering if she had been a big sister to Abigail in a prior life or had been her mother on some level, because that's the way she looks at her, like, this is my baby and I'm going to keep her safe. That was all of Libby's intention. The girls giggled together, they laughed together. But Abigail was the mischievous one. She was mischievous. She was the little one that would go out with a big smile on her face, bye, and then leave the door, and you're like, oh my God, what is that child up to? You would never hear about it yet, but she was pretty, she wasn't doing anything hardcore, just little elements of rebellion. Very, very sweet little girl. But getting to push the envelope, to be a little bit rebellious, to do different things. What was so interesting is I saw when they got dropped off down the trail. Now, to avert suspicion, Abigail is kind of making me feel, to avert suspicion, I'm not wearing makeup, and I don't wear makeup, and I'm just very carefree, but my pockets have stuff, and then I'm going to start texting him right away because you're going to come with me and we're going to meet him. This was a setup for a meeting of this, I'm sure. So it was something that was done prior, and Abigail was going to go by herself. Libby said, hell no, I'm going with you. This is what I get. So I feel like they went in tandem, but that wasn't the initial thing. I feel like Abigail kind of wanted to go off by herself. So Abigail is literally enjoying this and feeling it. And when I see her walking over the bridge, there's the one photograph of her, I believe it's for Snapchat, where she's walking over that abandoned railroad track bridge that I think is, well, probably more dangerous. You fall off of that than anything. I'm thinking parents would probably only be worried about that. But she's walking over it. She has this big smile on her face, and she's really kind of free. Now, what I see, I'm looking at it from her perspective, and I'm looking at Libby, look at, I like to call her Liberty for some reason, because I feel like her name is so poetically correct for who she is as a person that I just like to call her Liberty. I like to call her that. I think it really suits her. Libby's her nickname, of course, and her friends were going to call her that because that's what kids do. But I see her staring at Abigail, and I see Abigail, and she's like really happy, million things going on in her little head, all of these things, and she's super excited. She's going to meet this boy. This is what I'm hearing. She's going to meet a boy. It's a challenge for her to get out because somebody in her house, I don't know if this person lives with them. I don't know if the mother had a boyfriend. I don't know if this is a male family member. This person's older, but somebody is very, very focused on Abigail, her preteen body, her teenage body, her who are you hanging out with body, what are you doing and how are you changing, and I'm going to keep you this way body. So there's a judgment on Abigail. It's coming from a man in the family. So there's a lot of structure and stress or control over Abigail. Almost feels a little bit like somebody who just very strict. So it could be religious strict. It could just be we're strict, like military strict, religious strict, something like that. Like this is what you do and you don't go against this. Like you do this and this is the way it's done. So Abigail was happy to be free and she was fun and she was beginning to feel like her girlish self go into a young woman. It was this sense of I'm going to meet this guy. I wonder if I'll kiss him. It's that kind, very innocent, nothing hugely wrong, nothing at all like that. But I see her walking and I see Liberty looking at her and I see somebody way back. They have not started crossing over the bridge. Now, I do not feel that that person is the person who murdered them. I do not feel that. If it is the person who murdered them, he looks different when he's back there than he does when I see the image up front. And by see the image, I hear the image in my head. Very clairaudient, this girl, talking all the time. That's how I'm receiving the information. So as she's walking over the bridge, it's Abigail who veers off to the side, okay? She veers off to the side. Liberty is down the trail farther. She's doing her own thing. She's looking at something. She's walking over there. Abigail is going again to the left, all right, off of this trail. To the left is where she's going. Liberty turns around and immediately sees somebody there. Shocks her like this. Like this. She kind of ducks behind something. I'm actually seeing this. She sees Abigail and this man. She sees him from behind and from the side. The picture of the man on the bridge, or the man that the suspect, okay, that they show, does not feel correct to me. He does feel like somebody, but he's a secondary player, all right? So he could have just been there. He could have been going to meet his friend. I do think there's 2 people involved, but in fact, I feel at least 4 people know what happened. I feel like a bunch of people know what happened. I feel like they're not going to talk about it. They can't talk about it. They won't talk about it. So maybe I should say they are suspect of what happened. They think they know what happened. Bits and pieces of information. That's one thing Abigail does, is she puts information in people's heads. She looks right at her mother. She grabs her mother's hand. I'm speaking as she's passed over. She grabs her mother like by the forearms right here. She grabs her. She talks to her. She stands in her face. Can't you see? Can't you see? I see this. So I feel like she thinks the mother knows who did this, or Abigail is trying to convey to her, can't you see? Can't you see? Don't you see? So when I'm looking at it, the mother feels Abigail, but doesn't acknowledge it and can't go there. The mother goes back and inward. The mother is carrying guilt and shame. Of course, you would be carrying this, but it's different than Libby's family, much different. Libby is hiding behind something and she's peeking out. She's looking as Abigail is talking to this man. I see Abigail to the left. So if the trail's right here, Libby is over here and kind of sideways. I don't know if the man sees Libby there because she wandered off ahead. I look here at Abigail, who's just slightly gotten onto the trail. She's standing there. So well, Liberty's down here, but as my viewpoint, looking at both girls, I see Abigail's face turned towards the bridge. I see this, okay? I see the face. I see already a man standing next to Abigail. As I was seeing this, as I was driving, I literally got chills up and down my body. I got the most intense feeling. I heard these words, so here it goes. I'm going to say it. Okay, the brother of my teacher. This is the brother of my teacher. This is the brother of my teacher. I heard that. So I don't know if Abigail means one of her school teachers or a teacher in her life. I don't know what kind of teacher, but this is their brother. And for some reason, I feel the connection in the community is important. Like people would know this person. People would know this person, okay? They know it. The brother of my teacher. I want you to hear that because those are the words I heard. I heard them as loud as day, in the car, loud as hell. The brother of my teacher. I don't know if it was an older brother or younger brother. I'm putting the age, looking at what I see from behind, from about age 38 to 45, somewhere in there. That's how he looks to me. He could be 50 and he could be 28 looking older and 50 looking younger. I don't know, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this straight out. Immediately, when I look at the back of the man, he does not turn around. Interesting. He doesn't turn around. The picture that Libby got of the guy on the bridge that is the suspect picture was somebody else coming across the bridge. It feels like this is a direct setup. This is something we're doing. Somebody does not want Abigail to have a date, go on a date, talk to a boy, be promiscuous. I mean, none of us want our kids to be promiscuous. However, human beings are human beings. But it's more than that. It's intrusive. This is a male in her life. It's very intrusive. And maybe they were having a hard time letting her grow up. Maybe this was all it was. I can relate with that. It's really hard when your kid goes from your kid into this adult with basically somebody who's going to throw you over for, you know, boys or girls or whatever it is, it can be a little bit hard at first to accept that your child is growing. So I get this, but it wasn't her mother. Her mother and her battled, but she loved her mother so much. Her mother, I got the impression about her mother. Her mother is like a little girl, and Abigail, she tried really hard to take care of Abigail, to be good for Abigail, to do all of those things. Her mother saw things a little bit differently. Her mother had so much she carried on her heart prior to Abby going missing, so much that she carried on her heart that sometimes she didn't pay attention to what was going on around her or see things clearly. The mother has a very Piscean energy to me, a very, very Neptunian kind of energy. Just very kind of focused, just what's in front of you with blinders on type of thing is what I'm saying. And I mean no insult by it, because I can't even understand what they're going through. But it is the brother of my teacher. I'm going to keep saying the brother of my teacher. This is coming from Abigail's energy. But the other thing I saw that was really perplexing to me was when I looked in the town, I got off the trail. I have no idea where I'm going on this trail because I've never seen it. I didn't even look at a map. I looked at the picture of the bridge and the suspect on the bridge. The other suspects that they have in custody and the new sketch, here's what's interesting. The new sketch is somewhat of a distraction in some way. Something about it is not actually correct, but it is correct. So it bears a likeness, but it's a distraction. There were two people. I think one of them posed as the young kid that Abigail was going to meet, or Abby. Libby went to protect her friend. I'm going to get into that in a second. What I see though, when I drive off the trail, I walk off the trail and I drive, I go to the left and I either go to an old garage in town or an old part of town where the buildings appear to be older. And as I look at the building, I look to the corner. I'm being shown one corner, one slice of a garage. And the door goes up and it goes kind of to the side. It really reminds me of Canada in the winter, like it's had too much snow on it, and it's like a one-car garage, and you just put like the old car in there, and it's like Grandpa's house or something like this. It's that kind of a look to it. And the slight corner, when I walk up on the house on the right side of the street after I turn left off the hiking trail, so I get picked up, I go left, wherever the hell that is. I go into the next town or into the next like area. Again, it's not highfalutin area. It's probably very modest. And this could be an older part of town. The buildings are older, or literally the garage is older and is the part of the house that hasn't been fixed. I see right on the corner of the garage. I look down, I see a tail light. Now this looks like some kind of a collector car. Here I go with this. I love cars, pretty shiny cars, but I don't know my cars, so let me just try to get this. I go to the tail end of the car, and I think what I'm seeing is, okay, for some reason, I want to say it's an older Impala car, or something like that with a peaked, it's an older car. So to me, it's either somebody's a car collector, or this is an older car that they take out like once a year because it was a family member's car. I'm seeing just the peak of the taillight over the hood of the back end, the trunk area. I look right there. The evidence is in that garage. There were things taken from the scene. There were things taken, I want to say Impala car, or it looks like the tail light on an older T-Bird, but I don't think it's a T-Bird, and it does not have a bright color, but there's like silver roping around the tail light on the driver's side. I can see it, and the door shuts, and it's like we shut that off, and it's an older garage is what I see. I don't know what the hell relevance that is, but I was shown that very clearly. So when I look at what happened, I see, okay, what I feel that there's an argument that goes on here. There's an argument between Abigail and this man. They are arguing. I literally see a hand go like literally to grab her by the neck. I literally see it. It comes out of nowhere. It shocks her. I hear her scream for Libby to go and get help. I literally hear her scream, get help, like literally run and get help. Abigail is trying, this is what almost killed me when I picked this energy up. Abigail is telling her friend to go and get help. Better you run and get help. That is when Libby takes the picture of the guy on the bridge thinking he has something to do with it. I have no idea if he does or not. I know there's two people though. So he probably is one, but he's not the one that did this, so to speak. This man standing by Abby is the one that did it. Liberty snaps the picture and she's about to take off. She hears her friend struggling. If she'd have gone to get help, her friend may have passed away, but they would have found the person. She would have saved herself, and she literally, her instinct was to run, and she heard her friend, and she literally went there to help her friend. Like, no questions asked, no nothing. The heart was so attached, I just see boom, and she literally went right with her. Literally went. I don't think Libby was actually supposed to be there. I think she went to protect her friend. And I see Abby. Abby is on the ground first, and Libby is watching what happens. Her knees are around her. She's holding her knees like she's shocked. She's holding her knees, and for some reason, a rock is thrown at her. So I'm not sure exactly what the autopsy said, or if there was one. There had to be one. I have no idea what it said. But with Libby, I see something cracking the side of the head. To me, it's the right side of the head. So it's like, we have to do this. This is what we have to do because you saw that. So this is what we have to do. You saw that. She literally is punching and fighting and kicking, and she's thrown back, and she's thrown into a ball where she's curled up like a baby, like a little person, with her arms around her knees, and she's stuck like in a fetal position, just stuck there, and I'm shocked. As Abigail somebody's trying to shut Abby's mouth. Somebody's trying to shut her mouth. Now, are they trying to shut her mouth there? I don't think so, because already her friend is there. Her friend is watching. Her friend is seeing. So there's no shutting the mouth. It's already out there. I want you to shut your mouth. I cover your mouth. Shut your mouth. So I almost feel like Abby was going to tell somebody something. I feel like she was going to say something. Her mouth is covered. Her mouth is covered. This is what's happening as I'm looking at it. So when I look at the girls, I will say there was an assault, definitely a sexual assault, a crack to the head for Libby. Something about Abigail's mouth. I don't know if they stopped the breath, stopped the air, put something down in her mouth. Something happened like that, and she stops breathing. Her friend is still in shock, trying to figure out how to help her, but can't help her. There was probably about 8 minutes between when Abby passed and when Liberty passed, and Liberty was an afterthought. She was literally an afterthought, like, meaning she wasn't the target. She wasn't the person. She went to help her friend. Literally that morning she got up and said, you can't go by yourself. They had the discussion. You can't go by yourself. We'll go together. It'll be okay. I'll be with you. You'll be fine. That's exactly what happened. That's how beautiful Liberty was. She was that kind of a person. Her heart was very attached to her friend. Extremely attached. Abigail stood right outside of herself and waited for her friend to cross out. And the two of them crossed together 8 minutes apart. That's what I get. the time of death, and I don't know how anybody does this or how they determine it, or even, I don't even know if they can determine it, tell you the truth, like within, you know, who the hell knows? Because when they found the bodies, they would have found both the bodies there, so they would assume they both pass away within a minute or two, but there was literally an 8-minute stop. Abigail stopped breathing, mouth covered, something in her mouth, windpipe. She stopped breathing. Liberty rocked to the right side of the head. That's what I'm feeling. Something cracked her skull. But it came like from over here, and I'm not sure what that is. 8 minutes between them. Abigail stepped out of her body, defiant. She was defiant. She was defiant as she crossed out. She was fighting and she was defiant. Liberty was defiant, but in a different way. Liberty was pure strength and just complete. You will not, she calling him an animal, the guy that did this, and people know who did this. People know, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say something else. I could be completely off and completely insane, but I'm literally going to say this to you. I am being shown fireworks by these two girls right now. They're literally, I did not see this before. I am literally, the room is getting freezing cold. I am seeing fireworks, tons of fireworks, pop, 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 like this. Everybody's looking up in the sky. Everybody. They are going to know who did it. I'm assuming we're talking July 4th this year or by the end of this year, but I am seeing the fireworks. I don't know if it means literally July 4th or the fireworks are going to go off when you find this person. And I'm going to say it one more time. The brother of my teacher. I heard that like she was sitting in the car beside me. That is what I heard. The fireworks just all around. I am looking up in the sky. All of these stars. So I'm American flag. I'm thinking 4th of July, America's birthday. There's information very, very, very close to being caught. Very close. Very close. Very close. My nose is up in the air. If I'm him, my nose is up in the air. I don't deal with you. I don't deal with you. This is somebody who is very jealous of Abigail's family and very jealous of Abigail and her energy, herself, maybe the way that people liked her, maybe the way they talked to her. Very jealous. So this was a person who coveted, envied, hated, obviously hated. Okay. This person is quirky in real life. This person does piss people off. This person, okay, here's how I'm going to word it to you. This person goes around like they're friends with everybody. You know, in those little towns, like in the country, little neighborhoods, and there's like people they call like the town mayor. It's like, oh, there's, you know, Jeff, the town mayor, and he walks down the street and everybody calls him that because he knows everybody and everything. And he's a gossip and he's this. And, you know, usually those are harmless people, but this person is not harmless. This person was up to something. I can't quite figure out if it was personal, like for his sexual gratification, or specifically targeted. I'm confused because there was both involved. So there's both of that involved in this scenario. About age 9 is when Abby met this person, age 9, when she came into his sphere of knowledge. There was 8 minutes between when these girls passed. Libby literally reached her hand up and Abigail pulled her across and the two girls stood, and they just stood. We're not going to rest until he's arrested. We will not rest. It's not that their souls are not resting. They are at peace and they are fine, but they are attached here because the time is close. I'm being told the time is close. There will be a break in the case, and it's nothing that's been said right now. In fact, it's being misconstrued all over the place. I almost wonder if somebody's doing something to keep somebody at bay so they don't think they're going to get caught. It's been misconstrued. So there's something that is something is shifting. It's shifting. Pop, 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 pop. Fireworks all around. July 4th. That's my prediction. July 4th or by the end of this year. This birthday of America this year. and then we're going to know who did this. It's going to come out. It will cause a sensation, scandal, complete chaos, complete upheaval. But here's what I'm going to say. When you ignore stuff in front of you because you, oh God, why am I getting angry with this? Okay, when you ignore stuff in front of you that's obvious, you see it, you know it, it may have happened to you, it may have been something you've heard about, you experienced it, but because it's your family member or because it's somebody you know, you don't want to think that, but it goes on, so you just turn a blind eye, you live in denial. You will not be able to do that after this year, my friends. No, you will not. And there are people that turn a blind eye to this person. A few know, there are 4 people that know. There are people wanting to tell on him. There are people wanting to out him. And I'm telling you, hidden in plain sight in the neighborhood, propriety of the neighborhood is what I'm hearing, in the neighborhood. So the parents, the family, the grandparents, the kids, the siblings, everybody knows who this is. This is a betrayal on so many fucking levels, it's not even funny. Everybody knows who this person is. It's a definite betrayal. It's a betrayal. It's just a betrayal. Plain and simple. Betrayal. Okay, for some reason, Abby's showing me knitting. She's quite a funny character. She's showing me knitting. Somebody is knitting and rocking and biding their time. I'm knitting and I'm rocking and I'm biding my time. I knit, I rock, I'm nervous, I bide my time. That's not necessarily an old person, definitely a female person. I do this. I knit, I rock, I bide my time. This is what I do. Libby is talking about her family and hearing everything they say to her. They talk about her quite a bit. They pray about her quite a bit. She's in the middle of when they pray. She comes right in with that. So these girls are waiting. They're waiting. Abigail looks at her mother and she's just constantly, I wonder if the mother has this feeling and can't go there in her mind. I cannot get who it is. My teacher's brother. That's how I'm going to end the video. My teacher's brother. This is my first video on the Delphi murders, the cold case, and I just kind of winged it with what I got. So this is just what I got energetically. And I guess we'll see what happens. But those 2 little girls that went out for a hike, 13 and 14 years old, on February 13th, 2017, the next day, Valentine's Day, both of them are found dead. Both are found dead. Who does that? Why would that even be a thing? I don't even understand. But I see it. I see it. My teacher's brother. All right, you guys. Once again, my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com.